Good morning. Today we are going to focus our class on Ahimsa. And as we'll learn, Ahimsa is one of the limbs of yoga. And it pertains to nonviolence and non-harm. So we can think of that very logically, of not hurting other people and things like that. But Ahimsa actually, when we look deeper at the meaning of it, it is actually non-violence and non-harm to ourselves. And that could be through our words to ourselves or about ourselves. And it can actually be about even our thoughts about ourselves. So any negative self-talk we might have in our heads, and self-criticism, self-doubt, beating ourselves up about things. And I'm sure all of us can think of times where we may do this. So really living a yogic lifestyle and embodying Ahimsa is really about loving ourselves, and through our words, through our thoughts, through our actions, through what we eat, through how we treat our bodies, all of that is non-harm and non-violence to self. So the theme of this class will be Ahimsa, and another more common way of putting that is self-love. So as we progress through this asana class, let's try to focus on self-love and positive self-talk, positive thoughts about yourself as we do the asanas. So if you feel stiff or tight or inflexible in some area, reframe your thinking about it into positive languaging. Appreciate what your body can do. Appreciate that your body's there for you, and appreciate your surroundings and the fact that you can take a nice deep breath. So as we begin, coming to a comfortable seated position on your mat and making sure that your sit bones are in contact with the earth and your spine is nice and long. You can choose to close your eyes at this point. And just grounding yourself into nature, into the earth, feeling that support of the earth under your body. The earth is always there for us, supporting us. And start to feel that length in your spine. The base of your spine connecting with the earth through your tailbone. And then your spine lengthening and rising up through the crown of your head, the top of your head here, and reaching that up towards the sky, as if your body is a connection between earth and sky, and you're finding that length and multi-directional expansion in your spine. You can place your hands gently on your knees and take several rounds of deep breaths here. Inhaling for a count of 4. Holding at the top of the breath. And exhaling for a count of 4. Really smoothing out that cycle between inhalation and exhalation. Inhaling for 4. And exhaling for 4. This is a very basic form of pranayama, breath control, that really helps us focus our concentration into the present moment and infuse our body with oxygen, life force, and energy. And as you practice this simple pranayama, inhaling for 4 and exhaling for 4, you'll feel your focus melting into the present moment. Breathing deeply and exhaling completely. And begin to bring your focus to the intention of our class today, Ahimsa, self-love, non-harming, non-violence towards ourselves, loving ourselves, caring for ourselves, using loving thoughts, loving words towards ourselves throughout the practice today and throughout the remainder of your day. And as you're ready, opening your eyes and inhale, reaching up, reaching your arms up towards the sky. Nice deep breath. And exhale, twisting and placing your hand on your knee, gazing back over your shoulder. And inhale, rising up. And exhale, twisting the other direction. Continuing nice deep breaths. Gentle spinal twist to wake up our spines. And inhale, rising up. And exhale, just coming down in front of ourselves. Nice forward fold here. And take a moment to connect with the earth. Sending love and gratitude to the earth for supporting our bodies throughout this practice. And rising up to sitting. Gently placing your right hand down and clasping your head. Gentle neck stretch. You should feel that stretch in the side of your neck here, your upper shoulder. And gently pressing that right hand into the earth will enhance the stretch. And as we warm up, continuing that slow, controlled breathing, bringing oxygen into the cells of our muscles, into our bodies. Gently roll your chin slightly forward, modifying the stretch. Rising back to center, and we'll change sides, planting the left arm. Head comes over to the side, and breathing into the side of your neck. Hand presses gently to the earth. And rolling your chin slightly forward, modifying the stretch. Rising back up to center, placing both hands down at your sides, and then inhaling once again, reaching up. Nice big inhalation. And exhale, coming down and transitioning onto hands and knees into tabletop position. You'll stack your hands beneath your shoulders, your knees beneath your hips. Spine is straight. Spreading your fingertips nice and wide. And your knees are hip distance apart. And we'll come into cat-cow. So start by dropping your gaze and your tailbone and pressing your middle back all the way up towards the sky. Sucking your belly button in. And then exhale. Rib cage drops, gaze lifts, arching back. Tailbone presses to the sky. Gaze is up and forward. And reversing that. Gaze drops. Tailbone tucks under, mid-back presses to the sky. And rib cage drops, gaze lifts, arching back. Deep inhalation. And really tuning into your own body, your own flow, and moving through this cat-cow motion at your own pace, honoring your own rhythm. And finding your unique flow. Feeling that wave-like motion traveling up and down your spine. Breathing into any areas of stiffness or tension. And awakening that energy in your spine. And then coming back, pausing in tabletop position. And we will lift right arm and left leg. Gaze over your front fingertips. Finding your balance here, activating your core. Nice deep breaths. Awakening the muscles in the back of your body, your back, your hip, your leg. Finding balance and stability. And exhaling, drawing elbow towards your knee. And inhale, reaching forward. Exhale, contract. Inhale, rise and expand, reaching out. And exhale. Continuing at your own pace again, finding your flow, honoring the rhythms of your body. And then making your way slowly back to tabletop position. And this time, reaching left arm out, right leg back. Engaging your core, finding that stability. Waking up those muscles in the back of your body. Gaze over your front fingertips. And when you're ready, contracting knee to elbow. And expanding, reaching forward. Contracting. And on the inhalation, expanding. Finding your own flow and your unique rhythm today. And then slowly making your way back to tabletop position. We'll press back into a child pose. Hips dropping down and fingertips reaching forward. Nice stretch here. Relaxing. And rising up into our first down dog of the day. Hips pressing up to the sky. And your chest presses towards your thighs. If you have a slight knee bend, that's fine. And just heel toeing your feet, stretching out your calves, the backs of your legs, waking up your feet. Planting that left foot into the earth, inhaling right leg up, allowing that left heel to sink down towards the earth. Right toes floating up towards the sky. And honoring wherever your body is today with this practice. Self-love, appreciation. And we'll bend that knee, allowing your toes to drop over a bit towards the left, opening your hip. And toes reach up to the sky. Nice stretch here. And we'll step forward into a low lunge. So that right foot comes up between our hands. Come back onto our back knee, back toe pointed. And then rising up, hands onto your thigh. And pressing your hips down and forward. Really opening up the front of that hip joint here. Chest is lifted, heart is open. Nice deep breaths. Feeling that openness and expansion in the front of your hip. Inhaling your arms up over your head, palms facing together, fingertips straight up. And continue to sink down and forward, opening the front of your hip joint. Shoulders are relaxed, neck is long, gaze is lifted. And imagine you're holding a ball of energy between your hands and you're arching back, passing that back behind you. Continuing to breathe deeply. And coming down, placing both hands on your knee once again. Slight arch back, lowering your hips. And then coming down, placing your hands on opposite sides of your foot, pressing your toes back, and we'll come back to downward dog once again. Heel toeing your feet, balancing out your hips, honoring your body wherever it is today. Remember, yoga is a practice. Every day is different. Our bodies are different. Our minds are different. So it's all about honoring where we are today and loving our bodies, loving ourselves. Planting the right foot, left toes float to the sky. Right heel presses to the earth. Nice deep breaths. Finding length in the back of the right leg. Heel pressing to the earth. Bending your knee and dropping your toes a bit over towards the right. Hip opens. Breathing deeply. Allowing that leg to straighten. And stepping left foot forward, low lunge. Foot comes up between our hands. Coming down onto that back leg. Back toe pointed. And rising up. Hands on your thigh. Sinking down and forward. Gently opening up the front of your right hip. Your chest is open, your heart is lifted, sinking down and forward. Breathing deeply and exhaling completely. If you feel your awareness wander, bring it back to the breath. Finding that cyclical flow of energy in and out of your body. And inhaling, arms up over your head. Fingertips reach to the sky, hips sink to the earth. Nice deep breaths here. And that ball of energy between your hands, passing it slightly backwards. Nice arch in your back. Continuing to breathe deeply. And find the simultaneous activation and ease in the posture. Nice deep breaths. Hips sinking down. And coming back, hands to thigh. Hips dropping a bit more. Continuing to breathe. And hands coming down, pressing back once again to down dog. Heel toeing your feet. And then you'll walk your hands back towards your feet. You can bend your knees slightly if that's more comfortable. And you'll now be in a forward fold. Just resting here, knees slightly bent. And you can clasp your hands to your elbows. And just rest here, nice forward fold. Allowing your neck, your shoulders to relax. And hanging here, feeling the stretch in your legs and back. And nice deep breath, rising up to standing, reaching up over your head and coming down, hands at your sides. We'll come into a wide-legged stance here. So wide-legged forward fold. And as we're here, see if you can get the outside edges of your feet parallel with the mat. So your feet, you might need to turn them a little bit in, a bit more pigeon-toed. So the outside of your feet is parallel with the edge of the mat. And check in with your stance. Depending on your height, you should be about 2 to 3 feet apart, your feet. So if you're standing, in a narrow stance here, see if you can widen a bit more. Nice, comfortable stance. It'll actually give you more stability. From here, hands on your hips. And we're going to lead with our forward folds. We lead with our chest and with our heart. It's a good metaphor for life. You always lead with your heart, not your head. So with your heart, with your chest here, keeping a nice long spine, flat back, we'll bend forward just to wherever you feel a comfortable stretch. Checking back in with that ahimsa, that self-love, and honoring wherever your body is today. And once you feel comfortable with this stretch, you can stay here or you can place your hands down onto the floor in front of you or the mat and continue to melt further into the stretch, breathing deeply and exhaling completely. Tune in with your sit bones here and see if you can reach them up a bit more up towards the sky, getting a slight arch in your low back. Nice deep breaths, melting into the stretch. And then let's place that right hand down straight in front of us, windmilling left fingertips up to the sky. Gaze over at your fingertips. Gentle spinal twist, and you'll feel this stretch in your legs. Several rounds of breath here. And coming back down, left hand down, right fingertips coming up, reaching up. Nice deep breaths. And coming back to center. Turning your fingertips back towards your heels and walk your hands back towards your heels and slightly in between your legs. Surrendering a bit deeper into the stretch. Continuing to breathe. And perhaps melting deeper with each exhalation. And walking your hands forward. Heel toeing your feet slightly together if necessary, and rising up to standing. We'll now clasp our hands behind our hips, rolling your shoulders back, lifting your chest, gazing to the sky, and come forward, bringing your hands up over your head. Hands are clasped behind you, and coming into a forward fold, bringing your hands up over your head. And rising back up, releasing your hands, coming down. From here, we'll come into goddess pose. So in goddess pose, we bring our feet slightly closer together. Turn your toes out at about a 45-degree angle, facing that front corner of your mat. We'll start with hands on our hips, and then just bending your knees, tracking knees over your toes, and your sit bone and tailbones sink down directly towards the earth. Your chest is open, and the crown of your head reaches up to the sky. So sinking into goddess, activating your legs, tucking your tailbone a bit under. And make sure that your spine is long and lifted. So check in if you're leaning a bit forward. See if you can come back up and find that length. Nice straight spine. Hands on your hips, sinking down. And once you feel stable here, we'll inhale, arms straight out to the sides and come into cactus arms. Fingers spread and your elbows are in line with your shoulders. And breathing here. Goddess is a very empowering position, very activating, and taking several rounds of breath. You can rise up onto your toes, further intensifying the stretch and continuing to breathe. Coming down and rising back up. Beautiful. From here, we're going to come into Warrior Two. So you'll turn those right toes straight forward. You'll turn your left toes out 90 degrees. So right toes are straight, left toes are out, and your heel is in line with the arch of your foot. So your feet should be about 2 to 3 feet apart. You'll inhale your arms straight out, shoulder height, and you'll sink down. That knee is tracking over your middle toes. And your torso, check in if you're going forward. Torso should be straight up and down. Nice deep breaths here in Warrior Two. Finding that activation and strength in your legs. And your gaze is over these front fingertips here. Nice deep breaths. You might find you're able to sink a little deeper into the pose. And the energy and intention here is to press back through that outside edge of your back foot and to allow this thigh to become close to parallel with the earth. Shoulders are resting on your rib cage, neck is long, and gaze is soft over these front fingertips. Nice deep breaths. And we'll rise into peaceful warrior. So hand to thigh, and your front fingertips come up and over, reaching back, continuing to sink down that front leg. Breathing deeply and exhaling completely. And coming forward, back to Warrior Two, checking in with your body. And we'll rise up. Both legs are straight here. And slide into triangle. So sliding your rib cage out over those left toes, sliding out, reaching that front arm. And wherever you're comfortable, coming down. You can place your hand on your thigh or below your knee, on your calf, or all the way down to the floor. Whatever feels comfortable for your body today. Right arm straight up to the sky. Nice deep breath. And rising back up. Both arms shoulder height. And we'll sink once again into Warrior Two. Might feel a little easier the second time. And rise into Peaceful Warrior. Nice deep breaths here. Rising back up, Warrior Two. And then straightening both legs, hands to your hips, both toes straight forward. And we'll come into a forward fold. Hands down onto the earth in front of you. Several rounds of breath here. And rising up. Hands to your hips. And we'll turn right toes out and left toes straight forward. Coming into Warrior Two on this side. And remembering that heel is in line with the arch of our back foot. Arms floating up to shoulder height. And sinking into Warrior Two. Checking in with your torso. If you're coming forward, bring your torso back so it's straight up and down. And your shoulders are resting on your rib cage. Gaze over your front fingertips here. Nice deep breaths. Activating the outside edge of your back foot, pressing it to the earth. Breathing deeply. And exhaling completely. And then rising to Peaceful Warrior, hand to thigh, floating your fingertips up and over, and continuing to sink down through that front leg. Thigh comes parallel to the earth. Honoring wherever your body is with this today. Self-love, self-respect. Appreciating what your body is doing for you. And surrendering into the pose. Rising up. Back to Warrior Two. Several rounds of breath here. And coming up, straightening both legs, and we'll gracefully slide into triangle here. Sliding all the way out, and then placing that hand down wherever is comfortable, and reaching your arms straight up to the sky. Nice deep breaths here. And in triangle, your gaze can be up at your fingertips, or down at that front foot, wherever is more comfortable for you today, and wherever you find it easier to balance. Nice deep breaths. Inhaling deeply and exhaling completely. And we'll rise up, sinking to Warrior Two once again. Perhaps a bit more fluid this time as we warm up. Rising to Peaceful Warrior. Nice deep breath. Feeling the juiciness of the stretch. Exhaling out any tension. Really enjoying the sensations in your body. Coming back to warrior two. And rising back up. Hands on your hips, both toes forward. And again, forward fold, reaching down, leading with your heart, hands coming down in front of you, and surrendering into the stretch. From here, we'll walk our hands over towards our foot, twist, and come back to down dog. Heel toeing your feet, balancing out your hips. And we'll come down onto hands and knees, and then onto our bellies. From here, we'll come to a gentle cobra, hands by your shoulders, elbows in towards your sides, and you'll just lift your nose, your chin, your chest, coming up as far as you can, using the muscles in your back. Avoid using your hands initially to push, waking up the muscles in your back. Baby cobra. And now pressing gently with your hands, rising up into cobra, wherever feels good for you today. And then coming back down, clasping hands behind your hips, lifting your chest, activating your arms. Nice deep breaths. And release, hands by your shoulders, pressing back into child pose. In child pose, try spreading your knees and allowing your belly to come down between your thighs. Hands reaching forward, hips sinking down towards the earth, and surrendering into the pose. Tuning in with your breath, tuning in with self-love. Shifting weight forward and rising into down dog. Chest towards your thighs, heel toeing your feet. Planting left foot, right toes float to the sky. And we'll come forward into pigeon. So knee comes forward, drops to the side. And you come down, back toe points. And take a moment to situate yourself here in pigeon. So you'll want to make sure your hip bones and your shoulders are straight forward. And your back toe is pointed. Hands are directly in front of you. And once you're here, you can walk yourself forward over that front leg, relaxing down into a comfortable pigeon pose. Breathing into your hip and really melting into the stretch. Nice deep breaths. Just surrender and release. And try walking your hands a bit over towards the left, which will bring that foot closer towards your belly button, modifying the stretch, really opening up your hip. Everyone's hips are different. We carry our tension differently. So just find that sweet spot for you in the stretch. Breathe into it, melting into the stretch. And walking your hands back, passing center, and over to the other side. Again, modifying the stretch, doing what feels good. Coming back to center, and walking your hands back towards your hips, lifting your chest, and slight arch backwards, heart rising up to the sky, arching your back. Nice deep breath. Curling your back toes under and pressing back, heel toeing your feet. Planting right foot, left toes float to the sky, and swinging forward into pigeon. Knee drops outwards, back toe points. Hip bones and shoulders squared straight forward. Setting up your foundation here. And when you're ready, walking forward over that front leg, coming down onto your elbows, or all the way down into a nice relaxed pigeon pose. Awareness returning to breath, returning to self-love, appreciating your body, and exhaling any tension, any discomfort. And when you're ready, walking over towards the right, bringing your foot closer to your belly button, modifying that stretch, and breathing into any areas of resistance, tension, strain. Exhaling out the tension, and breathing in self-love. Walking back, passing the midline, and over to the other side. Breathing into any tight areas in your hips. And exhaling a bit deeper as you melt into the stretch. Gently walking back towards center. Hands coming back up towards your leg. Slight arch back. Heart lifts, gaze lifts. Nice deep breaths here. And then pressing back up into down dog. Heel toeing your feet. And coming down into child pose. Rising up and coming onto your back. As you come to your back, bringing knees to your chest, rocking back and forth, side to side, and feeling that connection of your hips, your spine, your head with the earth, allowing your body to relax and feel supported. Feet flat, knees bent, arms at your sides, and we'll press up into a gentle bridge, activating your legs, heels pressing to the earth, hips floating to the sky, Chest is open, shoulders are relaxed. Nice deep breaths here. Clasping your hands behind your hips, sliding your elbows and shoulders closer together behind you. And really lifting up your hips, breathing deeply, feeling that strength in your thighs, your hips, your low back. And release your hands, and we'll come down vertebrae by vertebrae, differentiating each piece of your spine. Slowly coming all the way down, hips, tailbone, and relax. We'll reverse that as we roll back up into bridge, peeling our spine up off the mat. Hips reach to the sky, heels press to the earth. Hands clasped behind us. Supporting ourselves with our shoulders. Pressing hands down. Pressing heels down. And hips reach up to the sky. Nice deep breaths. This is a very heart-opening pose. Activating our heart chakra. Breathing in self-love, appreciation. Releasing hands, rolling down again, differentiating each vertebrae. Coming all the way down. And bringing knees to your chest, rocking back and forth, side, side. Feet flat, knees bent, and placing feet on the outside edges of your mat. So your feet are wider than your hips, arms straight out to the sides, and you'll allow both knees to drop over towards the left. Windshield wipering your knees so they're staggered. And then your gaze will float over to the right, over your right fingertips. Nice hip stretch and spinal twist. Breathing deeply and exhaling completely. Activating your core, floating knees back to center, crossing the midline, allowing them to drop down towards the right as your gaze floats over your left fingertips this time. Melting into the stretch, tuning in with your breath, breathing deeply, and exhaling completely. Again, activating your core, drawing knees back up to center, bringing knees to your chest, rocking back and forth. And now coming into happy baby, clasping hands to feet, drawing your knees down to the outside of your body, allowing your low back and abdomen to relax. Nice deep breaths here. Feeling that expansion around your hips, sacrum, and low back. And with each exhalation, melting a bit more into the stretch. And relax, release. Drawing knees to your chest, rocking back and forth. And finally coming into Shavasana, our final resting pose. So lying flat on your back here, palms to the sky. Take a moment to slide your shoulders away from your ears. Your neck is long. You feel an expansion across your chest. And everything in your body is at ease. Nice deep breaths here. And remaining here in Shavasana, several rounds of breath. Inhaling deeply and exhaling completely. Eyes are closed and feeling your breath washing over you like a wave. Filling each cell in your body with healing oxygen, fresh blood flow. And upon each exhalation, releasing tension, stress, or strain. Releasing any resistance to well-being, peace, and self-love. Breathing in love, expansion, and abundance. And exhaling, allowing your body to completely relax, effortless on the mat. And slowly rolling onto your side, making your way back up to sitting. You can keep your eyes closed if you like, facing forward, sitting cross-legged, hands on your thighs. And we'll tune back in to the theme of Ahimsa, non-violence, non-harm, particularly today to ourselves, through our words, through our thoughts, through our actions. Loving ourselves, treating our bodies with respect, without harm, without judgment. Bring our awareness back to the breath, that life force flowing in and out of our bodies. Inhaling deeply and exhaling completely. Taking note of any changes you may feel since you began this class, physically, mentally, perhaps feeling more blood flow, more circulation, more physical or mental ease. And setting the intention to move forward throughout your day with that ease, that sense of self-love, inner peace. Opening your eyes, inhaling your arms up over your head. Bringing your hands into prayer in front of your third eye for loving thoughts. In front of your mouth for loving speech. And in front of your heart center for loving feelings. Namaste.